We are live from Grand Park Event Center here in Indianapolis. The Indianapolis AlleyCats are set to take on the Minnesota Wind Chill in their season finale. My name is Zach Mabry, and I'm here with Alex Hutton. We'll be commentating on the game today. Alex, what are you looking forward to as we go into this game?
Well, I think the one thing I was most intrigued was, as a lot of the sort of in-the-know fans out there know, the AlleyCats and the Wind Chill are going to play each other again next weekend in the playoff game. So this is going to be a really interesting game to see, where the mindset is for both these teams. I think for the AlleyCats, just kind of like when they played the Radicals a few weeks ago, I think this is going to be a big game to kind of test their confidence. I think they really need this game to show themselves, hey, we can beat the Wind Chill in a really big type atmosphere game. I know the Wind Chill have 2 games this weekend, and I think they had 2 games last weekend too, so they've been playing a lot lately. So I expect the AlleyCats to go 100%, just the feel I've gotten from the team. I'm sure the Wind Chill are obviously out here to play as well, so I think the thing is just kind of see what both teams are kind of thinking as we get into the playoff game next weekend.
Yeah, I agree. AlleyCats, I think, are going to go 100%, but at the same time, how much of your regular offensive looks are you going to give to Minnesota? How much are you going to show, like, your defense? What are you going to do to stop Minnesota?
Sure.
How much of that are you going to show going in, like, knowing you're going to play them again next week?
Yeah, just from looking at the roster, it looks like, pretty much all of the offensive guys are in the game for the AlleyCats. Keenan Plew, Travis Carpenter, who else? It's like Cameron Brock, obviously Rick Gross, Keegan North. Those guys are going to be all playing today. So, again, I expect the AlleyCats again to come out here and really just give 100%. And, this, again, should be, just like any time we're out here, a great game.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see some different looks from the AlleyCats, though, than we've seen throughout the rest of the season. Maybe change up some lines, see if they could get like a good line with a lot of momentum on defense or something like that. See if they can find anything that would really work for them as they go into this playoffs.
Sure. I mean, I know I certainly can't speak to the Wind Chill as much, but especially with the AlleyCats, with their sort of shift in terms of their offensive line, they've really relied on a lot of their maybe newer players or just maybe less experienced players in the AUDL to really step up this year. And they've dressed a lot of players throughout the season. So I think it's going to be just, again, another thing where a lot of those players can get some really great experience before the AlleyCats make their return to the playoffs next weekend.
I agree. And you see here AlleyCats getting announced, showing off their lineup. Sitting out today, we'll have Nick Hutton not playing today for the Indianapolis AlleyCats. Peter Carlton as well. 2 big contributors going to sit out today. Probably just resting up, getting ready for next week, making sure that they're at 100%. I know Nick has been dealing with a handful of injuries throughout the season. So.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one where you expect to see him next weekend, assuming he's 100%. And I'm sure, again, the AlleyCats and the Wind Chill are going to give us a really exciting matchup today.
Yeah. And then as for Minnesota Wind Chill, we'll see what they bring. Don't know very much about their roster today, but should be a great game either way.
Yep.
All right. All right, we'll take a quick break. You are watching the Minnesota Wind Chill versus the Indianapolis AlleyCats on UniversePointProductions.com, presented by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance.
First few years of college, I threw every single day. Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working toward winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
We would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Today's broadcast is presented by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Find your local Marion County agent at infarmbureau.com. Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Stop knocking on wood. Today's broadcast is also brought to you in part by Disc Store, offering the best service and best price on ultimate gear guaranteed. BE Ultimate. Ultimate players making ultimate gear for the ultimate community. Layout Ultimate. The most durable ultimate gloves. Layout Ultimate, what the pros wear. And of course, the Indianapolis AlleyCats.
And we are back from break. Here's the Indianapolis AlleyCats get set to take on the Minnesota Windchill, just moments away from the opening pull. And again, tonight is fan appreciation night for the AlleyCats. Looks like we do have a pretty good crowd in attendance tonight.
About our ceremonial opening throw. Today's ceremonial opening throw will be performed by AlleyCats superfan Tommy Carey. Tommy has been sharing the stands with Cats diehards since the ABL's inaugural season in 2012. He has rarely missed a home game, keeping the fans and players entertained with his local.
AlleyCats getting ready to perform the opening pull, the ceremonial opening pull. It looks like Tommy Carey, brother of AlleyCat Joey Carey, will be performing the ceremonial opening pull today.
His favorite is straight on Desert Island foods and beverages that include gummy bears, smoothies, ice cream.
You know, this is a really cool moment. Tommy and Joey live right down the street from me. I think like 3 houses away. So I've known Tommy and Joey my whole life. Yeah. Yeah, Tommy's been with the AlleyCats, as has Joey, since the inception of the team. So, yeah, this is a very cool moment for us to see.
Yeah, one of the great things that the AlleyCats have been doing this season is, really picking people that have been like staples within the ultimate community in Indianapolis, or just like in this case, fans that have just been there from the start. So really just something that I think has been a cool feature that, those that are following the AlleyCats, at least on Facebook, certainly can go and see some of the things that they've been trying to do. Again, just anything to really show people that, ultimate is really just like any sport, and that one of the biggest things is that the ultimate community is a really strong community. And certainly for me, a lot of the friendships that I've made in ultimate is something that, I still appreciate, and something that, they're some of the closest friends that I have. So it's just something I think kudos to the AlleyCats for doing that this season.
Yeah, I will agree. The ultimate community is one of the best communities I've ever been a part of. Friendships that I've made are some of the strongest friendships of my life.
Yeah.
And here's a great moment as Tommy and Joey pose for a picture together.
Well, I think definitely the feel that I already get from today is one of those things where certainly, the back of your minds, most of us might be thinking that, again, this might have the biggest impact certainly on the standings or anything in terms of the playoffs, because a lot of the seedings have really already been set. But anytime you get out there and you can compete at a level like this, you're going to give 100%. And I'm certain that we will see that from both teams today. And, again, I think a lot of these players take pride in the fact that they're in the American Ultimate Disc League, and they want to obviously show that they deserve that. And so I think that that's something that we're going to see from both teams.
Yeah, I agree. You don't play a game with the intent to lose.
Sure.
Any game that you go out to play, you're playing 100%. AlleyCats are going to start the game on defense. Getting ready to pull here. That is number 24, John Wanger with the disc, getting ready for the opening pull. Alex, what can you expect out of the D-line today for the Indianapolis AlleyCats? What have we seen throughout the season?
Well, one of the things that I think I've seen is, they've had, like I said in the beginning, a lot of players had to step up. What we talked about a lot, they're shifting some of the players like Carpenter and Gross to the O-line, and they've gotten a lot of big plays from a lot of people. And so I think that that's something that we will just continue to see today.
Yeah, Minnesota with the disc, and right away that's Josh Klein putting the disc to Brian Vanuka. Minnesota working the disc down the line. Number 23, Michael Jordan with the disc. And they center it back around and find Josh Klein. Klein really working the resets here for Minnesota. He's such a strong handler. It's Wyatt Meckler with the disc.
See that wide pass there. That's, again, nice indoor pass there, just putting it out to space, letting it float. It's going to be really hard to really man the field, I think. As it seems like the AlleyCats have been playing man this whole point. Looks like Minnesota going with the vertical stack, really just being patient with the disc.
Yeah, and with no wind, it's very easy to move the disc, put it out to space, and let your guy run onto it. You don't have to really worry too much about anything stopping you. You really get to do almost whatever you want with the disc.
It's very good sneaky double team there from Michael Ames. He's going to get another one in.
And the disc is in the hands of number 48, Wyatt Meckler from Minnesota. He's looking for the throw and go. AlleyCats really working that switch on that throw and go.
Yeah, I think that's something that you kind of see them talk about with their – they have like verbiage or something that you see from a lot of players. A lot of times they'll communicate to each other and they'll switch. And it didn't seem like that kind of cost them. It seemed like they were able to kind of shut off a lot of throws with that. And I think they did about 3 or 4 times on that point.
Yeah. And here on the replay, Minnesota just works back and forth time and time again, and it's really hard to stop that back and forth throw. And when you get your flow going in different directions, it's really hard to keep up with on defense.
Yeah, they did a great job of padding the stats there too. A lot of completions, a lot of touches, and again, just being patient.
Yeah, AlleyCats didn't even have much of a threat of getting a turnover there. Josh Klein really working the disc well. He ends up with the assist to number 0, Josh Katz of Minnesota.
Well, when you have a team that, and certainly goes for any team, especially in Ultimate, great chemistry, and you know where people are cutting, and you're patient, and you make a lot of throws, it's really hard to stop something like that.
Yeah, very tough. I agree. First look at the AlleyCats O-line.
Looks like Kyle Cox is going to be subbing in today, at least on this O point here, filling in as a handler.
And that's going to be an early turnover. Looks like a misjudge by Travis Carpenter, and he throws it right to...
I think it was Dylan DeClerc.
Dylan DeClerc, yeah.
Oh, get a gift back here.
Yeah, quick turnover. All right, AlleyCats got to pull it together, step it up. Probably just some early game jitters leading to that turnover. Kyle Cox puts up a big huck. He's looking for Cameron Brock. Cameron in chase. He's able to pull it down.
Oh,
and there's a turnover.
I think it was one of those things where I don't think he was still being stalled, so I think he was maybe just expecting to be able to reset it, and just kind of one of those things where, unfortunately, just two people not on the same page. Not really either their faults, but just kind of ends up happening sometimes.
Turnovers back and forth. Some real gifts for the AlleyCats here. But yeah, back to the AlleyCats turnover. It looks like there was so much open space for Keegan North. He thought he was going to move on to the end zone, and Cam had already thought about resetting the disc.
Sure.
Cameron Brock with the disc in the middle of the field. Finds Travis Carpenter on the reset. They work the throw and go. Cam can't quite get it to him. Levi Jacobs with the disc, and he puts one out for Rick Gross, who makes a layout grab. But they call him out of bounds. Just out of the back of the end zone.
That's one where you might need to go to the slow-mo to see what happened. I don't know if his knee hit before the rest of his body, but maybe it was just too hard to call there.
Yeah, it was very close. And we'll see here on the replay.
Oh, I don't know if maybe his left hand hit down first. I don't know.
That's very tough to tell.
I think in a situation like that, maybe you're going to lean towards it being out.
Yeah, we did have a referee on the back line, so. And Keegan North with the big D. there for the AlleyCats.
All right, this
getting it back.
Long point here. We're already about 4 minutes into the first quarter, and it's kind of going back and forth. It's one of those where if you're the AlleyCats, you can just kind of put it away here, kind of, even though you've had some turnovers, just kind of call it even at that point.
Yeah, turnovers back and forth. Lots of mistakes, too. I mean, we've seen throwaways from each team so far on this point. Looking deep for Levi Jacobs. That's going to be an overthrow. And we're now 3 minutes into this point. Fatigue probably starting to set in for both teams. It's a very long point here.
Yeah, I expect if Minnesota's able to score it here, I think this is a situation where the AlleyCats will put in a full 7 subs for the O point.
Keegan North picks up another D for AlleyCats. Coming across the middle, and he's able to get a hand on that one.
On pace for a pretty low-scoring game here.
Oh, yeah. Defensive battle here on the second point of the game. AlleyCats going to go ahead and take a timeout. Kyle Cox calls it there on the sideline. This is a different O-line than we're used to seeing for the AlleyCats. No Keenan Plew on the field. Does that have anything to do with it here?
Well, it might. I know the AlleyCats have gone with the same O-line for, I would say, a very high percentage of their points. They've subbed in, I think, very rarely, only in a few situations. I think Keenan Plew might be resting up a little bit. He's not on the field. That might have something to do with it. I think that obviously might have an effect just with having so much chemistry built up that certainly might be a factor.
I agree. I think that it does play a factor. You see Keenan in the huddle there. Maybe he's going to get subbed in and see if this O-line can pull it together. Either way, they're having a good discussion here. We'll come out probably with some sort of set play off the sideline and see what happens here. Maybe they can pick it back up.
Yeah, I think that's a good timeout call because, again, it's just honestly very early in the game, though. But a very critical point, I think, for both teams.
Yeah, you don't want to give up a break this early in the game if you're the AlleyCats O-line. So I think this is a good use of a timeout here. We're going to pick it up on the sideline and see what we can do with it. All right, looks like we're staying with the same 7 on the field. I don't see anyone new. Kyle Cox picking up the disc. And we're looking for some sort of set play here out of the stack. Scuber's going to open up the field to Samson. Travis Carpenter takes the disc. Finds Levi Jacobs down the sideline. And that looks like another miscommunication. Keegan North and Travis Carpenter not on the same page there. And that's a throwaway. Minnesota with the disc just outside of the end zone. Wyatt Meckler playing catch on the goal line. And Keegan North. That's his 3rd D of the point here. Hero for the O-line. Stopping any chance of a break for Minnesota. There's another huck put up. Kyle Cox puts it to Rick Gross, who's in chase. And he really turns on the jets to go and get that.
Well, that's where having someone like Kyle Cox putting him on the O-line can have a big effect because he has the ability to really just end the point really quick. And, again, Rick Gross is really kind of separating himself from the rest of the league this year. And, again, there you just have a really good thrower, a really good cutter, and just kind of they're able to end it after all that back and forth. It only took them a few seconds to really end the point.
Yeah, Kyle Cox has some big throws. And that's always something that really opens up the field no matter what team he's on.
So really, all in all, we go about over 5 minutes there, and the result is we have a tie game. So very critical, I think, for Indy to be able to get that one.
Yeah, it took a while, but AlleyCats able to hold there.
We see Keenan Plew in here on defense.
Yeah, like we talked about before the game, maybe they're just going to work on some things, see if they can't find a D-line that's able to get a lot of momentum behind it. Josh Klein in the center of the field puts it up the sideline. Josh Klein's really working this offense for Minnesota. Klein finds number 94, Tony Paletto, down the sideline.
Well, again here, I think you just see a little bit more just that Minnesota's just a little bit more in sync, I would say. That's what I'm trying to say there, is that I think just see a little bit more calmness maybe to their offense.
Yeah, a lot of patience. Working that back and forth along the sideline. I mean, creating flow in both directions. It's these horizontal throws that get them up the line.
And they're really using both sides of the field. Minnesota's doing a good job. You see of just swinging it one way, swinging it the other way.
Yeah. But they get a little impatient there, put a blade across the end zone, and that's going to be a turnover. AlleyCats going to take over.
I've talked to some of the players before. I think with a situation like that, sometimes is you almost have to have this mental clock because the ref is stalling you, whereas a lot of Ultimate players are used to doing the stalling themselves. So sometimes you might be thinking to yourself, I might be on stall 6 and I'm about to lose the disc, so I'm just going to put up something.
Yeah. Keenan Plew makes an impact on that D-line right away, though.
Well, and again, that's a situation where now obviously you have, when you get the disc, and you have a handler like that that's so skilled and has a very high completion percentage, it floats up a little bit there, but Kip Curtis does a great job of just boxing out the defender there at the end. Really nothing you see here. He just kind of gets in his way and just does a good job.
Yeah, a powerful offensive player playing on the D-line makes a real impact after a turnover.
Sure.
Keenan's hard for any good defender to guard, let alone a player who specializes in playing offense.
Yes.
So Keenan's going to be a huge addition. We'll see if he plays on that D-line a little more throughout this game. All right, AlleyCats with a big pull. It's Josh Klein in the middle of the field. And AlleyCats with a lot of pressure there. That's going to force a turnover on an up line cut. AlleyCats pick up the disc. It's number 14, Connor Henderson, with the under. Centers it to Michael Ames, who just can't hold on to the disc.
It's been happening on both sides today. Just a lot of maybe uncharacteristic turnovers, you could say.
Yeah. There's number 10 for Minnesota, Josh Klein with the disc. They dump, swing it around. You can hear the call for the dump swing coming from the Minnesota sideline. Definitely something they believe in as an offense. That's number 3, Brian Vanuka for Minnesota Winchell, finding number 0, Josh Kotz in the end zone. Minnesota works it to the sideline and then is able to get an up-line throw. Now for a word from our sponsor. One thing is consistent, things change. When they do, your insurance should too. An Indiana Farm Bureau insurance agent can review your current policy and check to see if you're paying too much or covered too little. Find your local Marion County agent at infarmbureau.com. Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Stop knocking on wood. That's going to tie the game up at 2 here. AlleyCats in Minnesota. The Alley Cat offense back out on the field. The modified offense, I should say, with Kyle Cox instead of in place of Keenan Plew. Samson reeling in the pull. Centers to Kyle Cox. You see Cameron Brock comes out into the field and has one defender under him and one defender over the top of him. Almost double teaming Cameron Brock at first, and then they leave him uncovered in the end. It's Rick Gross finds Cameron Brock on the crossfield blade. See Rick Gross gets the disc on the sideline, takes a second, sees Cam uncovered, and a nice, easy blade across the field. And that's a throw that's really easy to make indoors when there's no wind.
Certainly. I think one of the most impressive things that's been about Cameron Brock's game is I think one of the things I saw is he's still in the, after all these years, still in the lead in terms of goals overall. Not only does he have more goals than anyone in the history of the AUDL, but still obviously playing at a high level. And I think that just sort of speaks to the work ethic that a lot of these players have in terms of really just continuing to be at their best.
Yeah, and the amount of growth that I've seen in Cameron Brock over the last few years in his throwing has been very impressive. He's not only is he able to get whatever cut he wants now, but he's also able to make throws when teams force him in. And then you saw on the last point, he comes out at the very start of the point, cutting horizontally across the field, and he has one defender over him on the top, one defender under, and it opens it up, and Levi Jacobs is able to get a 15-yard underthrow.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it just does so many things for your offense when you have someone like that is such an elite cutter that can also make any of the throws. And it's just, I mean, there's so many things that it brings to a team.
Yeah. We see a big D there by Alex Henderson. AlleyCats work it up the field, mainly with Henderson. Keenan throws it just slightly out of bounds.
Almost had a play of the week right there.
Yeah, Spencer Laskar puts up an impressive throw, but not quite able to bring it in.
I wonder what the mindset is sometimes with a player is in terms of having to think sort of at the last second, okay, I can't get this, but I can try and throw it back in. That takes, I think, sort of maybe a special kind of player sometimes to be able to think to yourself at any moment, okay, like I need to try to throw this back in bounds.
Yeah, definitely one of the quicker thinking plays to happen in all of Ultimate.
Because I think, for me, I probably would just thinking to myself, just drag my feet, and I probably would have been out of bounds. But that's just, again, not an easy decision to make.
Yeah. AlleyCats offense after a Minnesota turn. Alex Henderson open in the back of the end zone. He catches that goal from number 5, Aaron Schwartz. Schwartz gets it after the nice inside throw. And Alex Henderson just outruns his defender.
Very well timed cut, too. You saw there he wasn't too far downfield, and as soon as Aaron Schwartz catches the disc, he's immediately able to turn the field and just lead him, and just, again, very well timed on the cut there.
Yeah, he gets a few steps, and nobody's able to catch up to him. AlleyCats D-line gets a break there. Pulls out to a 4-2 lead. AlleyCats getting ready for the pull here. Number 24, John Wanger with the disc. Wanger with a big forehand pull. And that's a good pull for the AlleyCats. Minnesota works the disc around to the near sideline. They're just so patient with their offense. Really willing to swing the disc back and forth. Center of the field. Swings it around. Minnesota not able to generate much downfield. Lots of pressure being put on by the AlleyCats defenders. 8 seconds to go here in the quarter. 7, 6. Time running out. 4 seconds. Minnesota's going to have to put one up towards the end zone.
Let's see who gets the D here.
And it's all green jerseys. Heath Calaba takes out his teammate to ensure getting that D.
All right, to end the first quarter, Renegades lead 4-2. We have Ashley down there for
We'll take a quick break here at the end of the first quarter. You are watching the Minnesota Wind Chill versus the Indianapolis AlleyCats on UniFirstPointProductions.com, presented by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance.
First few years of college, I threw every single day. Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working toward winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
We would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Today's broadcast is presented by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Find your local Marion County agent at infarmbureau.com. Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Stop knocking on wood. Today's broadcast is also brought to you in part by Disc Store, offering the best service and best price on ultimate gear guaranteed. BE Ultimate. Ultimate players making ultimate gear for the ultimate community. Layout Ultimate. The most durable ultimate gloves. Layout Ultimate, what the pros wear. And of course, the Indianapolis AlleyCats.
2-1.
All right, what a great first quarter. AlleyCats take a 4-2 lead at the end of the first quarter. What do we see out of the AlleyCats offense? What have they seen to be successful so far?
Well, I think the one thing is certainly their ability to cut deep. I think their cutters are very athletic, and I think something that may be giving Minnesota a little bit of a challenge. One of the points I remember seeing back in that first quarter was there was one instance where it was almost perfectly timed from Indianapolis. There was one deep cut, didn't work, a second one, a third one, a fourth one, just so well timed, and yet at the same time it didn't seem to disrupt anything going on the field. And it was like they all had to kind of be looked off, and they were able to swing it and then just kind of keep working the offense that way. And you saw there the couple of the points that kind of lasted a while. It was, the fact that once they finally got the timing down perfect, they were able to end the point just like that with a well-timed deep cut. And so I think that's something that Minnesota might be struggling a little bit with today.
Yeah, the AlleyCats offense full of athleticism for sure. AlleyCats working the disc quickly up the field here. Cameron Brock makes a deep cut and then goes to the near sideline. Can't come down with the hammer attempt. AlleyCats on defense. Rick Gross marking here. Travis Carpenter attempts a layout D, can't quite get it. And a great inside break by Mitchell McCarthy of the Minnesota Wind Chill.
And I think the big thing, certainly in terms of when the Wind Chill have it, is maybe one of the things that, as you said, is sometimes obviously patience is really key on a point, while at the same time I think sometimes if you're making a team work too much, maybe that can work against them. And that might be the one thing I think that sort of separated the AlleyCats and the Wind Chill in that first quarter, while you saw the AlleyCats kind of able to pull away by just a few points there towards the end.
Yeah. Minnesota gets a disc on the near sideline, puts one up towards the end zone. And he comes down against a bidding Travis Carpenter. Looked like it was number 9, Tristan Grovender on the throw. Lots of patience from that Minnesota O-line.
I think definitely one thing that we saw, or that we've seen so far today, really just in general, is that we might have to sort of wait a while before one team either pulls away or it could come down to the end. It seems like there's a little bit of just sort of either lack of communication or just sort of uncharacteristic mistakes, you could say, in this game so far.
Yeah, throughout the first quarter, there were a lot of miscommunications, some drop throws, and other things that we're not used to seeing out of, an AUDL level offense.
And one of the things you're seeing here is there have been a few points in some of the games this year for the AlleyCats where they're throwing in kind of a D-line on O in terms of just giving it a different look. As you see there, John Wanger able to hit Connor Henderson deep for the score.
And that's, again, the AlleyCats just fighting for that deep ball. Wanger double-teamed, one from the front and one from the back. He just uses his length to reach out and put up a big throw to Connor Henderson. Connor Henderson just shows off his athleticism and gets open deep. Guy that's tough to guard. That AlleyCats athleticism really seems to be what's carrying them here.
Yeah, sometimes you just kind of need to reset a little bit, and the AlleyCats have kind of put on some predominantly D players here these last that O point, and again, sometimes that's really all you need, just to kind of reset a little bit, and then I think more often than not we've seen the AlleyCats offense able to come out and just sort of play at their normal level after that happens.
Yeah. That was a big pull by John Wanger of the AlleyCats. Puts it into the Minnesota end zone. Wanger with a layout D attempt. Spencer Loskar marking here. And that's number 3. Brian Vanuka puts up a hammer across the field to Josh Klain. Josh Klain was a standout player at the University of Minnesota. Standout player here for the Minnesota Winchell as well. He's been the one doing a lot of the heavy lifting for the offense, centering the disc, working it back and forth. He was a Callahan nominee when he was at the University of Minnesota. So, big-time player there.
Page a visit for all the official AlleyCats photos. South 40 versus Media Productions. Michael Doe Photography capturing the story. It's an active media elevating your perspective. Don't forget, between the third and the fourth quarter, our cat cash grab, $400.
Minnesota getting ready to pull here.
$1 you buy a mini disc.
Trailing the AlleyCats 4-5.
$400. Full hard cash by $1 $5 10, winning 20 the deal. Here we go.
Minnesota pulls going to put Samson near the back of the end zone. Centers to Kyle Cox. Cox puts it on the outside shoulder for Rick Gross, who gets foot blocked. That's number 6, Cole Jurek, with a foot block.
That's a big play.
Yeah. Just sat in the lane there, got his foot up, and that's going to be a big block.
I think it's to be a big moment if the Winchell can capitalize on this one.
Cameron Brock looking to try and get that deep, but can't get there quite in time.
Samson did a great job there of recognizing it, and he kind of switched off at the end and wouldn't cover the guy downfield. So
Cameron Brock gets it right back with a point block of his own. Keegan North, fake hammer, gets one of the defenders to jump. Eventually he's going to find Levi Jacobs after the throw and go. Keegan puts it around, looking for Samson, who's not able to come down with it.
Looks like he was just kind of eyeing where he was going to land a little bit and kind of took his eyes off the disc there.
Yeah, real close to the sideline. He was looking to have to toe the line and loses his focus for a second. Kyle Cox marking here. It's up. Rick Gross looking for the D, and he's able to come down with it.
You like the AlleyCats' chances there when you see Brock and Gross around the disc there downfield.
2 players that aren't going to lose an air battle very often. Levi Jacobs gets the disc down the sideline, puts up a big blade, and that's a bit of redemption for Samson.
He's done a great job today. I've been watching him play on the field, and a lot of times he'll be that sort of far side handler reset, and he's just been doing a great job of just really leaking downfield when his defender is poaching off of him quite a bit, and he's just doing a great job of just, if no one's going to guard me, I'll just kind of run down the field, and so he's been doing a lot of that today, and he gets rewarded there.
AlleyCats really spreading out the disc on offense here. No player with more than one goal, no player with more than one assist. I know that we're only 6 points in, but lots of people contributing for the AlleyCats so far, and I think that's kind of the story of the season for us overall.
Yeah, I would agree. That is something that the AlleyCats have had a lot of players contribute, which is very necessary in terms of just a long season that's pretty spread out. So I think that's something that they really take pride in terms of being sometimes 30-plus people deep, and just sometimes pulling up practice squad players and throwing them in, and they're still able to contribute.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that that's something that's been lacking in past years, and part of the reason we've been so successful this year. We've had the standout stars, Cameron Brock, Travis Carpenter, Keenan out here. Rick stepped up this year, and then adding the depth and the number of players who've made contributions this year is what has been the game changer.
Yeah.
Keith Calaba with the disc. Finds number 24, John Wanger. Wanger puts up a throw for Michael Ames. Just out of reach, and he's not able to come down with it. Another AlleyCats turnover. Connor Henderson chasing onto the mark now. That's number 23, Brian Vanuka, puts it up to Michael Jordan, who catches it on the goal line. Jordan with a little spinning throw finds Wyatt Meckler. Not the most traditional throw option, but
counts the same on the stat sheet.
Oh, yeah. He finds Wyatt Meckler. That's going to be the first goal of the game for Meckler. He just kind of twists around the mark here. Meckler makes a cut. Turns around. Throws
Not
up.
much you can do.
Yeah, as a defender, there's not much you can do there. Not really expecting the spinning throw. AlleyCats O-line back onto the field now.
All right, everybody, next week at Westfield High School, 7 p.m. next Saturday, your AlleyCats are hosting the Windshield in the Week 1 home playoff game. We are reselling playoff tickets here at the merchandise stand. Ask Christina about it at our CAC bandstand.
Kyle Cox going to field the pull here for the AlleyCats. Centers it to Samson. It's a bit of a flood play that isolates Cameron Brock on the far sideline as the pull play for the AlleyCats here. Now they're working it down. Levi Jacobs with the disc. Finds Keegan North. Rick Gross makes a deep cut, but doesn't seem to be the greatest time, and Keegan North looks it off. Cameron Brock with the disc on the far sideline. Working the swings now. Throw and go between Rick Gross and Travis Carpenter. Puts him out to space, and he gains a lot of yards there. Puts up the hammer for Levi Jacobs. It floats a bit. Hammer floated just a bit too much. And Dylan DeClerc's able to come over and get the D for Minnesota. That strike throw by Rick Gross really opened up the field for Travis. He was able to gain about 15 yards.
And I think he wanted that throw the whole time. I think maybe expecting it to kind of end up wide open, maybe just took a little bit off of it, just floated a little bit more than he certainly wanted it to.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be a chase down catch, layout catch by Elliott Trotter of the Minnesota Windshield. He resets the disc. They work it over to number 42, Matt Burkhart. Minnesota takes a timeout on the goal line. It's number 54, Dylan DeClerc with the disc. Takes the timeout. Big play by Elliott Trotter to get the disc just outside the goal line. He was chasing it for a long time, and then eventually comes down with it.
Yeah, one of those times where you kind of have to talk yourself into laying out sometimes. You're thinking to yourself, all right, am I going to lay out for this or not, while you're running, and then in the end you're like, all right, I guess I'll do it. Yeah. Sometimes it can end up resulting in more of like what I call an aggressive fall and not really a layout.
And that's kind of what happened there. A lot of that layout was on his knees.
Maybe it was more of an aggressive fall. I don't know, because he was kind of talking himself into doing it, which is, they say you can't teach height in basketball. A lot of times you can't really teach someone to lay out an ultimate. You just got to be someone who's just kind of willing to give 100% and just go all out and do it. And sometimes you just kind of talk yourself out of it while you're running for it.
Yeah, in his defense, though, that was one of the throws that's in the weird range of, I don't have to lay out all the way to go get it.
Sure.
But I still have to hit the ground. And that's one of the most awkward situations to learn how to attack the disc in.
Sure. Looks like the AlleyCats sub a D-line in here.
Yeah, after some substitutions, we're going to see Josh Klein with the disc.
It looks like
Wyatt Meckler isolated
probably
in space.
Substitute a little bit there, too.
Yeah. And Josh Klein works it to Wyatt Meckler. They place him back and forth.
Wow.
Klein and Meckler.
That was a very nice give and go there.
Yeah, Klein and Wyatt Meckler, two big standouts.
Probably something you expected they had planned. Those are two guys that probably have a lot of just chemistry with each other, kind of know what each other want. And you kind of expect that. It looked like they were just going to work it back and forth with those two predominantly the whole time.
Your home playoff game next Saturday.
Yeah, those are two top-level players. We talked about Josh Klein earlier from University of Minnesota, but Wyatt Meckler, big player in his own right.
$400 cold hard cash that you can take over to Stamp Table after the game, right down the road. Treat all your friends and family to a meal.
I think you see a lot of communication going on between both teams here. I think one of the big stories so far has been just sort of the lack of, it seems, consistency that both teams have been able to build. Just sort of a random throwaway here for either the AlleyCats or the Wind Chill, or just a mistake made, again, by both teams. And all in all, we just kind of end up with this tie game 6-6 here, almost heading into halftime. A very low-scoring game so far.
Yeah, that was a break back for Minnesota. So big point there. They're able to get the game back on serve. That throw just a bit too far for Rick Gross to go and get to. Minnesota's going to take over from their own goal line. Minnesota working the disc down the far sideline. That's going to be a turnover, though. Joe Simonelli comes in just a little bit too low for him to get down for. Cal Cox walking up. He's going to pick up the disc. Travis Carpenter isolated in space. That's tough to guard. Cal Cox just throws him wide open. But anytime Travis Carpenter gets isolated one-on-one in space like that, it's going to be tough to stop. Just a little hesitation move, and he's off to the races. Easy goal for the AlleyCats there. AlleyCats offense gets back on track after a couple of miscues.
Well, that's something that you really fully expect. It looks like they're throwing that same O-line out every point here, and really expect that to continue to get more and more chemistry as the game goes on. The O-line there for the AlleyCats, again, is something that you're just used to seeing playing at a very high level. I remember reading somewhere that it's one of the more, efficient offenses out there in terms of scoring, and so it provides a lot of their goals. And so it's something you fully expect to get back on track here at some point.
Yeah, Minnesota strikes quickly there. Brian Vanuka gets open in the end zone. That's going to be an assist from, pretty tough to tell there. Minnesota offense strikes quickly, though, something we haven't really seen so far in this game.
No, patience has really been the thing for them, and so that's something that, again, anytime you can throw it in there, it's always good.
Yeah, Brian Vanuka gets open deep, though, and he's going to take that goal. Yeah, that was a big hook put up by Josh Klang, number 10 of Minnesota. Keegan North fielding the pull this time. Going to send it to Kyle Cox. Kyle Cox swings it to Samson. Double team. Puts AlleyCats in a tough position. But Keegan North finds Cameron Brock as an outlet. Kyle Cox finds Samson, who puts the inside throw. Just a bit too far ahead of Levi Jacobs.
I was going to say there just before that throwaway, again, Samson just been doing a great job of finding space today in terms of just utilizing where defenders are not. And I think that helped with the AlleyCats hitting the early break throws, that he was able to find the break space there and gain a lot of yards.
Yeah, I mean, he really worked up the field well after the Keegan North double team. And that's how he ended up so open. Minnesota throw flies right over the head of Rick Gross. But they get lucky. Minnesota unable to come up with it in the end zone. Drop pass.
Seems like halftime is going to be something that both teams are going to be really happy to have in terms of being able to really talk about what they've seen from both the offensive and defensive sides for both teams today.
Yeah.
But again, as I mentioned earlier, really just it seems like all the positives and negatives are really just evening each other out. And again, we end up with a tie game here. And so we have another critical point
yeah, it
for
seems
both
like
teams.
Seems like just about every time the AlleyCats make a mental mistake, Minnesota gives it right back.
Yeah.
You know?
I wasn't sure who that was going to for a second.
Yeah. Lots of green jerseys flood into that sideline. Levi Jacobs ends up being the one in the end zone. AlleyCats just work it across the field. Keegan North finds Samson, who puts it up to Levi Jacobs.
For our halftime contest, we need 4 contestants. Right now, stand up, wave your hands, and let take a chance on the field. At our halftime contest, we're looking at about 112 and under. We're looking at about 213, 18.
This has been a low-scoring game so far. Not a lot of traction being gained by either offense.
No, I think we bring it up every broadcast. One of the things that we talked about earlier in the season was, how this sort of how playing indoors would affect the scoring. And we had the AlleyCats had that game earlier where they put up 40 points on the Mechanics. But certainly a different story here today, where we just talked about those mental mistakes that both teams are committing. Another big block there.
It's going to be a point block by Aaron Schwartz, yeah. Aaron Schwartz getting the point block early. That's going to give AlleyCats prime field position. Colin Ringwood picks up the disc, swings it back to Michael Ames.
Again, hand and foot blocks aren't necessarily something you see a whole lot of in the UDL, just with obviously the high-level throwers. Sometimes getting sort of a late stall can cause that in terms of really needing to get rid of the disc. But a lot of D's being earned here today.
Yeah, and just like that, AlleyCats end up with a break. Connor Henderson puts it up the line.
Just as we're talking about that, the AlleyCats were able to get a D in sort of a clean transition there and able to put it away.
Yeah, Connor Henderson gets the disc, puts it up the line, finds Colin Ringwood, who seems unguarded up the sideline. You take 1 second, look over, and the guy you're guarding's gone as a defender.
I wonder if that double team had something to do with that. Sometimes you can sort of try to shift, and being close to the end zone, sometimes it can result in someone just ending up wide open.
Yeah, for sure. Colin Ringwood finds the end zone for the first time this game. Still, AlleyCats, no players with more than one goal. Really spreading it out on the receiving end. Big pull put up. This one's going to go all the way to the back line of the end zone. Minnesota receives it. That's Michael Jordan with the disc on the near sideline. Josh Klein working against Donovan Triplett in space. Triplett with some great defense there. Klein really has to work to get open. Something he hasn't had to do a lot this game. A big throw put up. Number 0, Josh Katz, gets the disc in the end zone for Minnesota after the big throw across the field.
Hang out and watch our amazing fan contest, and then head over to the fan stand, get your pre-stand playoff tickets for next Saturday night's game at Litchfield High School, and purchase your mini disc for our between third and fourth quarter cash grab contest. $400 cold hard cash is going to one lucky winner that can get into the bucket.
Josh Couts on the receiving end of the disc there from Brian Vanuka. Couts picks up his third goal of the game here. Couts kind of quietly having a big game. Doesn't seem to be doing much working the disc up and down the field, but anytime it gets to the end zone, he's there. AlleyCats O-line back on the field. Samson is going to feel the pull here. Centers it to Kyle Cox. Kyle Cox finds it to Keegan North on the near sideline. Continues up line to Cameron Brock. Cameron Brock just so wide open on that in cut. I mean, his deep threat, really a presence that opens up the interior of the field for him. Just under 30 seconds to go here in the first half. Samson with the inside throw finds Cameron Brock. Cameron puts it down the sideline. Nice OI throw. Finds Levi Jacobs.
Number 7, Levi Jacobs.
And Levi Jacobs, first AlleyCats player with more than one goal. Cameron Brock really set up by the nice inside throw by Samson. Gives him lots of space on the sideline. Defenders trying to catch up. Levi Jacobs just too open. AlleyCats going to pull here with 16 seconds to go here in the second quarter. AlleyCats putting out a pretty strong-looking D-line here. A lot of jump ball guys, or a handful of jump ball guys. Rick's out there, Cam's out there, Travis is out there. Kip Curtis running down the pull, sprinting hard here.
And that's something that has happened quite a few times from what I remember, is that what it sometimes can do, especially if there's only a few seconds left, is it can cause really a disruption with being able to get up a last-second throw, but the Windchill are able to work it down very quickly.
Rick Gross wins the jump ball there at the end of the half.
Yeah, like I was saying, the Windchill did a good job of really just working it down very quickly and got a good look at the end, but weren't able to capitalize.
Well, on that initial throw, Minnesota definitely wanted to put it to the center of the field.
Sure.
But with Kip Curtis running down, they had to give a second thought, and then they got some good offensive flow.
Yeah.
And got up a good shot before the end of the half.
Certainly.
Great offense by Minnesota. Really good back and forth game here so far. The AlleyCats come out of the first half with a 2-point lead.
I think it's just one of those things where you got a 2-point lead and you will gladly take it. It's been a really rocky start for both teams, and obviously this is I think an important game to both teams in terms of just psyche, in terms of going into the playoffs and ending well. So it's going to be, again, a a very welcomed half for both squads, and be very interesting to see what adjustments are made.
Yeah,
the second half.
I certainly wouldn't call this a good first half for the AlleyCats, but you can't be too upset when you come out with a 2-point lead. Lots of mental mistakes. I'm sure that's something that they'll talk about here at halftime. As that offense, this new offensive line, continues to gel a little bit, I'm sure that we'll see some things clean up.
Yeah, and you talked about giving some different looks. They're having they're having Kyle Cox play a lot of offense today, and that, just causing them, I think, maybe to have to get a little bit of adjustment. Not that that's certainly on him, but it's just, causing, again, maybe take a little bit longer to adjust to a new offense. And in terms of Minnesota, again, just they've made plays. Both teams have made plays. Just a very interesting first half, I would say. Kind of hard to maybe pinpoint one thing specifically that either team can work on. I think it's just maybe just a lot of times teams will say we need to play our game, and that's something that both coaches might be preaching.
All right, we're going to take a quick break here. You're watching the Minnesota Wind Show versus the Indianapolis AlleyCats on UniversePointProductions.com, presented by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance.
First few years of college, I threw every single day. Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working towards winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
We would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Today's broadcast is presented by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Find your local Marion County agent at infarmbureau.com. Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Stop knocking on wood. Today's broadcast is also brought to you in part by Disc Store, offering the best service and best price on ultimate gear guaranteed. BE Ultimate. Ultimate players making ultimate gear for the ultimate community. Layout Ultimate. The most durable ultimate gloves. Layout Ultimate, what the pros wear. And of course, the Indianapolis AlleyCats.
For the throw and go, AlleyCats really working that switch on that throw and go.
Yeah, I think that's something that you kind of see them talk about with they have like verbiage or something that you see from a lot of players.
They work the throw and go. Can't quite get it to him. Levi Jacobs with a disc, and he puts one out for Rick Gross, who makes a layout grab. Minnesota. There's another huck put up. Kyle Cox puts it to Rick Gross, who's in chase, and he really turns on the jets to go and get that.
Well, that's where having someone like Kyle, so sometimes you might be thinking to yourself, I might be on stall 6 and I'm about to lose the disc, so I'm just going to put up something.
Yeah. Keenan Plew makes an impact on that D-line right away, though. You can hear the call for the dump swing coming from the Minnesota sideline. Definitely something they believe in as an offense. That's number 3. Brian comes out into the field and has one defender under him and one defender over the top of him. Almost double teaming Cameron Brock at first, and then they leave him uncovered in the end. It's Rick Gross.
Feet, and I probably would have been out of bounds, but that's just again not an easy decision to make.
Yeah. AlleyCats offense after a Minnesota turn.
The wind chill have it is maybe one of the things that, as you said, is sometimes obviously patience is really key on a point, while at the same time I think sometimes if you're making a team work. And one of the things you're seeing here is there have been a few points in some of the games this year for the AlleyCats where they're throwing in kind of a D-line on O in terms of just giving it a different look. As you see there.
Spencer Loscar marking here. And that's number 3, Brian Vanucci.
Gross around the disc there downfield.
2 players that aren't going to lose an air battle very often. Levi Jacobs gets the disc down the sideline, puts up a big blade, and that's a bit of redemption for 23. Brian Vanucci puts it up to Michael Jordan, who catches it on the goal line. Jordan with a little spinning throw finds Wyatt Meckler playing with the disc.
It looks like
Wyatt Meckler
Windshield
isolated
probably
in space.
substitute a little bit there too.
Yeah. And Josh Klein works it to Wyatt Meckler. They place him back and forth.
Wow.
Klein to Meckler.
That was a very nice gift.
Just a little bit too low for him to get down for. Cal Cox walking up. He's going to pick up the disc. Travis Carpenter isolated in space. That's tough to guard. Cal Cox just throws him.
High level. I remember reading somewhere that it's one of the more, I guess, efficient offenses out there in terms of scoring, and so it provides a lot of their goals. And so
every time the AlleyCats make a mental mistake, Minnesota gives it right back.
Yeah.
You know?
I wasn't sure who that was going to for a second. Sometimes getting sort of a late stall can cause that in terms of really needing to get rid of the disc. But a lot of D's being earned here today.
Yeah, and just like that, defense there. Klein really has to work to get open. Something he hasn't had to do a lot this game. A big throw put up. Number 0, Josh Katz. Just under 30 seconds to go here in the first half. Samson with the inside throw finds Cameron Brock. Cameron puts it down the sideline. Nice OI throw.
Can cause really a disruption with being able to get up a last-second throw, but the Windchill are able to work it down very quickly.
Rick Gross wins the jump ball there at the
Don't fill up too much because Stack Pickle right down the road. Stack Pickle Westfield is our official post-game party spot. No drinks, delicious food, pro service. Don't forget to head over to our merchandise table. Get your pre-sale playoff game tickets for Next week's game, 7 o'clock Saturday.
All right, low-scoring game here in the first half for the AlleyCats. Low-scoring game here for the first half. AlleyCats lead the wind chill, 10-8. Some standouts for the Indianapolis AlleyCats. Rick Gross, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 Ds. Levi Jacobs, 2 goals and 1 assist. Keegan North has 3 Ds. All those came on the first point.
That's a career game for him right there.
Oh, yeah. That 5-minute long point turns back and forth. Keegan North played the role of hero, picking up 3 Ds.
Yeah, I remember one time I had 2 Ds in a game. I got pretty excited, so.
What a great day for you, Cheddar. For Minnesota, we have Josh Couts, 3 goals. We have Brian Vanuka, 1 goal, 3 assists. And we have Josh Klain, 1 goal, 3 assists. That stat line doesn't speak much to what Josh Klain has actually done for the Minnesota, though. He has been a real leader on the field, centering the disc, sending it back and forth, doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
So you're going to have to not call me Cheddar anymore, if you could, please. I don't really want to have to explain that.
It felt so natural to say. So natural. Coming out of halftime, Indianapolis AlleyCats will be pulling to the Minnesota wind chill. John Wanger, he's put up some good pulls today. Played a pretty good game so far. He's going to be pulling here. Minnesota O-line awaiting the pull. Minnesota receives the disc. Josh Klain with the disc center in the field. He puts it around to the near sideline. Minnesota works it up the field. Michael Jordan with the disc. And he puts a laser across the field just out of reach of Josh Couts. Couts unable to bring it down. AlleyCats pick up the disc. Inside throw. Gets to Aaron Schwartz. After hanging for a second, that was a little bit of a scary throw. He works the inside throw to Colin Ringwood. He lays out to secure it. Schwartz and Ringwood playing catch up the sideline. They work the disc to Heath Calava. Kip Curtis with the disc. Wide open in the middle of the field is Michael Ames. Works the around. Pretty patient offense here from Indianapolis after a scary start. Through contact, Michael Ames is able to come up with it. Ames with a nice cut to get open and reset the disc.
A little bit of contact back and forth here between these two players.
Yeah, this is a very physical point between Michael Ames and his defender. Connor Henderson goes up to pull down one. And he works the throw and go for a second. Ames licks him off. Finds Kip Curtis on the far sideline. Curtis down the sideline. Connor Henderson toes it. And that's going to be a goal for the Indianapolis AlleyCats here.
So it's a great start there for the AlleyCats. Getting a little bit of a gift there from the wind chill. Just a bad throw. And then just again, sometimes it takes 100 throws. You got to make 100 throws.
Yeah, lots of patience there, working the disc, a bunch of throws. Kip Curtis with the assist finds Connor Henderson down the sideline. Henderson pretty wide open, toes the line, and that's a goal for the AlleyCats.
Yep. Looks like we're going to see Rick Gross. I think this might be his first deep point of the day.
We have Rick Gross, Donovan Triplett, Alex Henderson, Keenan Plew, Spencer Loskar out there, among others.
Again, just a lot of different defenders, different looks the AlleyCats have been giving them on defense today.
Yeah. Near sideline for Minnesota. They put up a huck, but that just soars a little bit too far. That's not what the Minnesota O-line's been good at today. They've been really good using possession, swinging it back and forth. So a bit of a different look from them, and they turn it over. Keenan Plew picks up the disc and finds Rick Gross. AlleyCats working patiently, trying to find some rhythm going up the field. Rick Gross lays out to save it. Showing some patience to Zach Zeeparth. Gross takes off deep. Not really able to get anything though. Donovan Triplett with the disc. Resets it to Zeeparth, who comes down with it after a bit of a miscommunication. Spencer Loskar puts the elevator throw up. Finds Rick Gross. Rick with the disc. Waits for a second. Spencer Loskar works himself open. Alex Henderson with the disc. Floats one out for Rick. Rick Gross comes down with it. Really patient offense there. AlleyCats starting to work it a little bit.
Yeah, so far it's been pretty easy to describe this second half. The wind chill have come out on 2 0 points and just had 2 throwaways, nothing the AlleyCats caused. And then the AlleyCats have had 2 break opportunities where they just made a lot of throws and just very good job, I think, on the resets in terms of just keeping the offense going, and then just waited for the right opportunity, and now all of a sudden find themselves with a 4-point lead.
AlleyCats pull here, looking to break again. Minnesota working down the far sideline. Going back and forth. And then up line, number 34, James Kittleson gets open for the goal. Now let's take a look at the layout ultimate grip catch of the half. Connor Henderson puts it up line to Colin Ringwood wearing the layout ultimate gloves. Colin Ringwood uses those gloves, pulls it in, nice and easy. Things are so easy with the gloves. That was the layout ultimate grip catch of the half. Layout ultimate, what the pros wear. Layout ultimate would like to give out a pair of gloves to a viewer. Tweet at universe_point using the hashtag #LayoutUltimate and tell us why you want some gloves. We'll pick a winner in the 4th quarter. Minnesota looking to pull here after the goal. AlleyCats on the receiving end. Kyle Cox going to field the pull.
Again, very customary for the AlleyCats this year. Just about every game you've seen a lot of the same looks on offense in terms of the same 7 players pretty much play every 0 point just about every game, which I'm certain obviously is true of a lot of teams, but definitely something the AlleyCats use themselves.
Yeah, chemistry is such an important part of an offensive line in Ultimate, so it's not surprising to see the same 7 players.
No, yeah, I agree in terms of just knowing, obviously, who's going to cut when, what they're going to do. Sometimes just making a throw before someone even makes a cut in terms of you just kind of throw them open. And so, again, if you can just play with the same players, build that chemistry, you don't even realize it yourself. Sometimes you're just doing things that you just know someone's on your team is going to do something. And, I mean, again, it works for anybody that plays Ultimate.
Yeah, and I think when you have great chemistry on an O-line, you have to think less. And when you have one thing less to worry about, even if it's thinking, That helps a lot.
Yeah, I mean, again, whether it's men's, women's, mixed, it just is the same all across the board in terms of building that chemistry. Certainly a very important factor in terms of offense when it relates to ultimate.
Yeah, Keenan Plew on the D-line here. AlleyCats kind of throw a double team, but not quite. Donovan Triplett gets around, stopping the around throw by Josh Klein. Spencer Lascar on the mark. That's a push pass up the line. It's Michael Jordan, centers the disc. Finds Wyatt Meckler. Meckler up line. Donovan stays with him on that switch. Great defense by Donovan Triplett there. Minnesota works the disc across the field. Michael Jordan just outside of the end zone.
I don't know if he was expecting himself to be called in or not. He's kind of waiting. I think just then started to play on.
Yeah, he did look like he was waiting for it to be called in. And then that's going to be a drop by the Winchell. Josh Klein centering pass. Looks like he was just looking to move with it too quick and drops it.
Yeah, that's one of those where I think you're just kind of expecting yourself to catch it, so maybe you're not thinking too much about it. But a lot of times if someone throws it sort of to you instead of where you're going, if it's a really close throw, sometimes you can almost just kind of react at the wrong second to it, and it just kind of bounces off your hands.
Yeah, I agree. You just get thinking about what the next throw is going to be. I often do that if I'm thinking about a throw and go. Just trying to move too fast.
Yeah, a lot of times with that, it's about putting it to space almost, which can be hard if someone's kind of cutting towards you on a reset. But, again, just kind of one of those things where you really don't expect it to happen and you really don't think twice about it. Not that was a bad throw. It just kind of it can happen a lot of times in that situation, I think.
Yeah, for sure. Minnesota working the disc now. Their second chance. Josh Klein puts up a big huck.
Floats a little bit there towards the end.
Zach Zebarth plays some good defense, but Wyatt Meckler comes down with it. Josh Klein with his 4th assist of the game. Wyatt Meckler with his 3rd goal.
Sometimes it just comes down to really finishing out the point, and you just kind of see it floating up there, and that's good focus.
Yeah, that was a great cut by Wyatt Meckler. He gets Zach Zebarth trapped on the underside of him, waits a second for Klein to get power position, and then takes off. Minnesota looking to pull here. AlleyCats O-line back on the field. They've shown great success, moved the disc very well this first half, this first part of the third quarter.
Yeah, I think they've only had maybe 1 or 2 O points this half, but definitely something that, we talked about earlier, fully expected the AlleyCats to clean it up on offense, and I think that's happened so far this half.
Cal Cox going to field the pull here. He's centering to Samson. Samson with the disc. He looks around. Gets the around break to Travis Carpenter. Travis Carpenter with the disc. Turns it over. And that's going to be a miscommunication by Minnesota. Cal Cox picks up the disc and immediately hucks it, looking deep for Rick Rose. Rick with 2 defenders coming. But he's able to get that. No real contest there.
I like that. I'm not going to lie. I really like that. That was just kind of like, again, one of those instances where a few times today Kyle Cox has done a great job of just saying, I'm really tired of playing this point, so let's just end it. And just throws it up. And, again, that's one where, Rick Rose is going to come down with that about 99.9% of the time.
Yeah, and that big throw ability by Kyle Cox really opens up the offense a lot. Anytime that you're in a bind, that's something great to have.
Yeah, and definitely when you have players like the AlleyCats have in terms of cutters on offense that don't mind cutting deep and catching those scores.
Yeah, great targets for a big thrower.
Sure.
Rick Rose, Cameron Brock, 2 guys that aren't going to get beat in the air very often.
It just maybe was one of those things where it just took a little bit of time, having a little bit of a change on offense. And right now it's certainly gelling a lot better this half.
Minnesota puts up the huck. Gets open deep. That's going to be a quick strike for Minnesota. Brian Vanuka on the receiving end there.
Yeah, I think one of the things Vanuka did a great job there was he kind of saw Klein there. He faked the forehand and then went with the backhand to kind of the break side, so to speak, and did a great job of recognizing that and was able to really see the disc all the way in.
Yeah, and that's going to be 5 assists for Josh Klein here. Putting up a great game so far.
Yeah, he's definitely been very important to them on offense.
What is that number you said in terms of games in a row? Samson with the disc for the Indianapolis AlleyCats. Finds Keegan North on the near sideline. Keegan and Samson playing back and forth. Rick Gross gets the disc and he puts up a huck. And this is going to be the reverse of what we're used to seeing. Rick Gross puts up a huck and he finds Kyle Cox in the end zone. Rick Gross is going to catch the disc here on the end cut. Kyle Cox just perfectly times it and beats his man deep. Kyle Cox gets open and scores against Mac Burkhart. Kyle Cox has just been in the backfield a lot today. Probably didn't expect him to sneak deep.
No. Just threw a curveball there.
And that's what variation in the offense does. You catch him off guard, you catch him sleeping a little bit, and you're able to get an easy goal.
Yeah, I mean, I've certainly had a lot of teams that I played on where that's kind of been, a thing that you hear your teammates talking about either on the point or just during practice and stuff, in terms of sometimes you'll see a handler just sort of leak downfield, and then immediately when that happens, you know that someone in particular usually is supposed to come in and fill. And the AlleyCats obviously certainly have a lot of players on offense that can both throw and catch really well.
Yeah. Brian Vanuka looking for Josh Klein in the end zone. Overthrows him just a bit. Klein not able to come down with it.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit more of a clean game from the AlleyCats, especially this half. That has been the difference in terms of just making all the right throws at the right time.
Yeah. Keenan gets it on the near sideline.
And again, they're doing something that he was more used to doing in his first few years with the AlleyCats in terms of cutting. Now has transitioned more into predominantly a handler for them.
Keenan looking to put it around. Fakes the around and then has the wide open in cut for Alex Henderson. Henderson puts it around for Keenan. Keenan wide open on the far sidelines, Donovan Triplett. And he puts up a bit of a floaty one. Minnesota is able to come down with it. That's going to be a big D by number 14, Mitchell McCarthy. Minnesota puts it around. Spencer Loskar has a chance at it.
Ooh, who's going for the Callahan on that one?
Neither of them able to come up with it, and Josh Klein has the disc. Sends it deep, looking for Fanuka again.
Ooh.
Josh Klein, big throw.
That was pretty. That was a full field one there, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Josh Klein finds Brian Vanuka in the end zone.
He's just kind of feeling it today, isn't he?
Yeah, that's 6 assists for Josh Klein.
Excellent job by the cameraman, especially on that one. You got to give him a shout-out sometimes.
Yeah, great game by Josh Klein so far. Great game for Brian Vanuka, too. Vanuka, 3 goals and 3 assists here.
I think there's definitely been a lot more scoring, as you can tell. I mean, just with all the turnovers and throwaways that happened in that first half, it's been a much cleaner game, really on both sides. But the AlleyCats just able to capitalize a little bit more and have just kind of spread their lead just by at least 1 point right now. They kind of had, I think, they started with 2 breaks, I think, to open the half, and that's again, I don't think they haven't really given away either of those breaks yet.
Yeah, I agree. We've already got 9 goals here in the third quarter, so definitely a faster pace than what we had in the first half. Travis Carpenter with the disc. Puts it to the far sideline, finds Cameron Brock.
I think it's very uncommon for either AUDL team to not get at least 20. That's usually something that you see either team at least getting up in that range.
Yeah, that's a pretty safe
At least
bet.
one of the team.
Keegan North puts up a big throw. And he finds Rick Gross in the end zone.
Good sign of respect there after the point. Definitely something that's really has to be a big part of Ultimate is, just the respect for opponents and really just anyone out there, the refs also. You see there, just immediately catches it and makes sure he's okay.
Yeah, Ultimate's just such a friendly sport. Above everything else, Spirit's a big impact thing.
Well, yeah, and it needs to be. You have refs here. Most games that are played don't have refs, and it really requires it because if not, it would just be chaos.
Yeah, I've played in games that might as well have been the Wild Wild West.
Yeah.
Things get out of hand quick when you're playing in a regular game of Ultimate.
Yeah.
Without refs.
And I think that the players in the AUDL do a really good job in terms of adapting to the play with the referees. You're not always going to agree with them, but I've seen really any time that happens, just kind of move on and just go on to the next point.
Yeah, it's just such a different environment to play here in the AUDL with refs versus playing in the USA Ultimate Club Series. Josh Klain puts up a hammer, but he's not able to come down with it. John Wanger with the D there. Connor Henderson with the disc on the near sideline. Looks to send it around, finds Colin Ringwood. Michael Ames to Aaron Schwartz on the far sideline. Wanger with the disc closer to the center of the field. And that's going to be a foul on Minnesota.
I think it might be the first foul we've had called this game.
I think that is the first foul of the game. Wanger looks to step through the double team, and they just almost grab him.
And again, we were talking about, I think both teams, whether there have been fouls or not, both teams have done a great job of just really playing through it and not really letting that affect them.
Yeah, for sure. But for the most part, it's been a pretty clean game. Michael Ames goes for the layout grab and can't come down with it. Minnesota picking up the disc. Find Brian Vanuka with the disc, center of the field. Swings back and forth. Josh Klain going deep. And Aaron Schwartz comes from behind, getting the Sky D over Josh Klain. Just under 30 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Schwartz puts up a hammer to the far side. Finds Josh Wanger, who puts up a big throw to Kip Curtis. Curtis comes down with it.
Almost didn't catch that one.
A difficult one to catch with the defender coming right at you.
Oh, yeah, that can be pretty hard when he's already kind of way downfield. He's already very much open, and he just kind of has to almost sit there and wait for it, and the defender's able to catch up.
Yeah, waiting for it, I think, is one of the worst things to do as a downfield cutter.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you have to think to yourself, okay, how can I get position? When do I need to jump for it? There are a lot of things that can kind of go through your mind in a few seconds.
And, when you're waiting for it, you don't have the opportunity to block the defender off with your body. Mm-hmm. You don't have a chance to seal him.
Sure.
And that makes it a lot tougher. The defender's able to come in and get a pretty clean play on the disc.
Yeah.
A lot of times there's going to be contact. Just not a great position, but Kip Curtis handles it well and comes down with the goal.
Yeah, I think you saw there he almost it sailed over the defender, and he almost kind of mistimed it in terms of catching it, but it was great recognition there by Wanger to be able to hit him downfield.
$17 seconds to go here in the third quarter. AlleyCats pulling. This is their jump ball line again. Cameron Brock out there, Rick Gross out there, John Wanger, Travis Carpenter. Donovan Triplett getting down here to mess with the flow to start the point.
Yeah, that almost seems to be something that the AlleyCats communicate a lot in terms of that might be something they work on in practice in terms of making sure you get guys down there to disrupt it.
And Rick Gross somehow comes up with a D there here at the end of the third quarter.
I'm not sure if they're making a call or something here at the end of the half. It'd be interesting to see kind of what happens. I don't know if he says he caught it. I'm not sure.
Looks like he's saying he caught it. Looking to see what the referees say.
It's going to be foul in the end zone. I don't know if they're going to put time back on or if it. I'm not really sure what's happening here.
Minnesota picks up the disc. They're going to
Technically,
get
we
it.
have no time on the clock. I don't know if it's just like a one throw. I'm interested to see kind of what's happening here.
Minnesota with the disc on the end zone. No time to go here in the quarter. Throw it around.
Oh.
Not quite sure.
And at the end of the third quarter, the AlleyCats lead.
Okay, yeah, I'm sure that's I wasn't really sure how much time was left. It seemed to me like there's maybe 4 or 5 seconds when the foul occurred. I'm not sure. I think the Winchell were arguing that he had made the catch, and so he should have had the goal. And it looked like in the end it was ruled that it was just a foul. And they didn't officially put time back on the clock, but I think the refs were counting about 4 or 5 seconds. And I'm not sure if everybody on the field was aware of that. And so in the end, it just ends up being no point.
Bit of an anticlimactic into the third quarter there. We're going to take a quick break here at the end of the third quarter. You are watching the Minnesota Winchell versus the Indianapolis AlleyCats on UniversePointProductions.com. Presented by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance.
First few years of college, I threw every single day. Of course you want to be a champion. Of course you want to be working towards winning titles.
Be happy, but never satisfied.
Better than ever.
We would like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. Today's broadcast is presented by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Find your local Marion County agent at infarmbureau.com. Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Stop knocking on wood. Today's broadcast is also brought to you in part by Disc Store, offering the best service and best price on ultimate gear guaranteed. BE Ultimate. Ultimate players making ultimate gear for the ultimate community. Layout Ultimate. The most durable ultimate gloves. Layout Ultimate, what the pros wear. And of course, the Indianapolis AlleyCats.
And we're back here at Grand Park in Indianapolis. Indianapolis AlleyCats lead the Minnesota Winchell 17-12 through three quarters. We're going to take a break and talk about one of our sponsors. Hand-me-down cars, first used but new to you cars, first actual new car. When things change, your insurance should too. Visit infarmbureau.com for a free quote or to find your local Indianapolis area agent. Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Stop knocking on wood.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
So the AlleyCats took a bit of a lead here in the third quarter. 17-12 entering the fourth quarter. What do they need to do to finish this game off?
Well, I think more than anything, just kind of continue what they had there in terms of I don't really remember very many turnovers that quarter, if they had any, in terms of throwaways. I think their offense was pretty efficient in terms of holding serve, so to speak. And so I think ultimately that made the difference in terms of, Minnesota themselves had fewer turnovers, but the AlleyCats were able to capitalize and get a few more breaks, and that's why we have themselves a 17-12 lead. To the best of our knowledge, we did a little bit of research, and it seems as though the AlleyCats have a 10-game losing streak currently to the Minnesota Wind Chill, with their last win being May 4th, 2014. I know there have been, at least from what I remember, a lot of one-point victories going Minnesota's way. I know the last broadcast I was here, the AlleyCats were able to end their losing streak to the Radicals, and I think, again, more than anything, one of the biggest things for today could possibly be just building a lot of confidence going into the playoffs. Certainly this game is not over. We have a 5-point lead, with 12 minutes left, but it could go certainly either way. We know in ultimate you can score pretty quickly, and so that could change. But again, I think we've talked about a lot of things this year that have changed for the AlleyCats, even though, again, their core has remained the same. Again, I think it's just a lot of the players buying in and really committing to proving that they belong in terms of that upper level of teams in the AUDL. Now, again, still a lot left in the season, still a lot left here in this game, so we will be interesting to see really what happens. But I think the AlleyCats have certainly done a great job of really improving this season.
Yeah, there we go. AlleyCats O-line starting in the third quarter.
And there you go.
That's a set play that we've seen earlier this game. Travis Carpenter centers the disc. He does a bit of a circle cut around the handler and gets it up line with a lot of space. He gets about 15 yards, and he's in power position and puts up a great hook.
Yeah, and then at the same time, there's a lot of different ways they can initiate with that in terms of just changing whether someone goes in or out and, who has the disc. So it's really hard to just stop it because, you try to stop that play and you could just very easily do something different. So, but that's the offense I think we're used to seeing.
Yeah, I mean that's a very good set play, and a lot of different things can come from that set if they start to bite on it. Travis Carpenter absolutely lethal from that position that he was in, starting at the back of the end zone. I mean, he gets about 15 yards to get up to full speed.
Yeah,
does that little circle cut, and that's going to be hard for anyone to stop. He's one of the faster players in the AUDL for sure.
Yep.
AlleyCats D-line coming out for the first time. John Wanger on the pull. Bit of a scary catch there for Minnesota. Looked like he bobbled it for a second. Centers to Josh Klein. Brian Vanuka with the disc. Minnesota high in the stall count. Refs are going to rule that was a stall. AlleyCats force a turnover there. Pressure defense. Minnesota's not able to overcome it. AlleyCats are really looking to push out the lead here if they can get a break. Kip Curtis with a great cut, but they go over the top with a hammer. Reset to Colin Ringwood. A bit of physical play there. Number 94, Tony Paletto, physical with Keenan earlier in the game. Playing pretty physical with Colin Ringwood here, making it tough for Colin to get open. Heath Kalaba catches it right outside the end zone. And he finds Aaron Schwartz wide open for the goal.
Quick start here again in the fourth quarter. The AlleyCats have, they did the same thing in the third quarter. Quick start. Scored the first few points. Same thing here in the fourth quarter, scoring the first few points.
Yeah, two quick goals. 2 quick goals for the AlleyCats.
Don't forget to head over to the merchandise mechanic bandstand and pre-purchase your own final ticket next week, 7 o'clock Saturday, Westfield High School.
AlleyCats O-line, our offense is really starting to roll. Spencer Loskar pulling here. Minnesota centers the disc. Run a zipper play. That was their pull play. AlleyCats shut down the inside, and they swing it to the near sideline.
Set zipper, that's a pretty standard play for just about any Ultimate team, it seems, these days.
Yeah, a lot of times you'll see zippers out of the back, but we saw a zipper out of the front there. So the 1 and the 2 in the stack, the first 2 guys in the stack split, and the 3 just come straight forward. A lot of the times they're going to be wide open, but with the way that the AlleyCats shifted into the lane,
Sure.
it's going to be tough to stop. They work shift into the lane, and then they're able to revert to a swing. I mean, you really have 3 options there. So
The AlleyCats like today so are
Minnesota works it to the sideline, and then number 21 finds number 6 in the end zone. That's Cole Jurek on the goal.
and this draft official list of the AUDL, and of course, Universe Point Productions, our critically acclaimed live stream partner. Check out universepointproductions.com.
AlleyCats O-line returning to the field here. Minnesota pulling. Kyle Cox going to recover the pull. Centers it to Travis Carpenter. And then here you see AlleyCats go with a zipper play. They run theirs out of the back. Levi Jacobs gets the disc and puts up a blade between 2 defenders to Cameron Brock.
So did Cameron Brock switch to gloves?
Yes, he did. Those are probably layout ultimate gloves.
That's a good, that's good. That's a good bet.
Keegan North puts it across the field and finds Levi Jacobs.
Not a very easy catch. That takes a lot of focus.
When you jump up and stab at it, a lot of things can go wrong, unless you're Levi. Levi Jacobs on the receiving end there. Speaking of layout gloves, the winner of the layout ultimate gloves is John Conrad. Congratulations and enjoy the layout gloves. Layout ultimate, what the pros wear. Indianapolis AlleyCats reach 20 points. They lead Minnesota 20-13 here. That O-line for the AlleyCats really starting to get some steam, some chemistry.
Definitely a much better second half. And again, I think it's more than anything, maybe just trusting all the looks. It's really hard to stop a very high-powered offense like that.
Yeah, their athleticism just so much. And then Aaron Schwartz with the D looked like an offensive player, just kind of coming in for an in-cut there.
Yeah, just about 3 or 4 times this half it's been where they're just, I don't know, just kind of weird lack of communication, I guess. Just kind of someone makes a throw expecting someone to do something, and they do the opposite.
The story of the game, really, I mean.
Yeah, I mean, and again, as you can see here, it's been one of the biggest reasons the AlleyCats have capitalized on all of those looks, and now they're up 8. What was once a 2-point game at halftime has now grown to an 8-point lead for the AlleyCats here with just over 8 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, really starting to get some momentum behind them. A lot of confidence. Great showing for the AlleyCats now as they start to pull away here. Inside throw to Kip Curtis. He waits for a second. Wanger goes back to the outside, wide open.
Yeah, it seems like again, as you mentioned earlier, the goals and assists really getting spread out. A lot of people contributing, and sometimes it just kind of ends up that way.
Yeah, 12 different AlleyCats players with goals so far in the game. Lots of contributions all over the place.
And again, I think that what I said earlier is I think it just shows maybe more than anything that you can just trust the process, as they say. Just let the offense and whether it's offensive line out there or a defensive line trying to get a break, you just kind of trust what everyone's doing, and eventually someone will catch it in the end zone. It doesn't always have to be the same person every time. If you do everything you're supposed to, someone on the team will catch a goal, and whether you end up with 5 goals in a game or 1, that really doesn't necessarily change anything, whether it's just one person or 2 people even specifically. Sometimes you'll have someone that gets 8 goals in a game. Sometimes you'll have, as you said, 12 different people with a goal.
Yeah. Even better stat, though, 14 different players with assists.
Yeah.
Numbers coming from everywhere for the AlleyCats today.
Yeah, I mean, again, that just shows that anyone can contribute for this team. A lot of people that have the throws, and, again, just trust in what everyone's doing out there, and eventually someone will get the assist.
Elliot Trotter chases one down for Minnesota. Cal Cox marking here in the center of the field. Elliot Trotter with a good hesitation move, but gets looked off. And that's going to be a hammer throw instead. Dylan DeClerc comes down with it in the end zone after the hammer from Minnesota. And that's going to be number 42, Matt Burkhart, on the throw. Discstore.com is a proud supporter and sponsor of this broadcast. Pick up your next disc from Discstore.com. Discstore.com provides the best prices on team jerseys, guaranteed. Ask about the AUDL discount at Discstore.com.
One thing we know about any Ultimate player, you can't have enough discs.
Never. You can never have enough discs.
I got about 50 in my trunk right now.
I think I probably only have like 14, so you're beating me there.
Yeah.
Minnesota on the pull. Travis Carpenter fielding the disc. He's going to center to Alex Henderson.
Looks like a little bit of a break for Kyle Cox, having just played that D point. Young Alex Henderson out here on offense.
Yeah, this is one of the first times we've seen Henderson on this O-line. Smooth lefty backhand from Samson.
One of the things we know about him, though, is that he has the throws.
Yeah, for sure. Such a young player with such great throws. Alex Henderson. Going to be a good player for years to come for the AlleyCats.
Yeah, definitely always good when you can add someone who's, that young. I think only being 18, being in the AUDL his first year, they have that core of players that we talk about a lot, but have added in the last year or two here a couple really young players that have been in the Indy area, that have been a part of Indy Ultimate in their high school careers, having brought up those players and growing them in this system. Really bodes well for years to come for the AlleyCats.
And it's really just been the Center Grove pipeline. I mean, tons of Center Grove players represented here on the AlleyCats.
That is definitely the big one there in terms of we know now Center Grove in terms of being on a national stage the last few years in terms of what they've been able to do.
Yeah, I've had the pleasure of going with Ultiworld to cover Center Grove at a handful of events. And, such a well-coached team, great players coming in and out of the program. They have a middle school league. They have a high school league. So much going on from that Center Grove program, and it's really bolstering the Ultimate community overall.
Yeah, great point you just made in terms of cities all over the country. When I first started playing Ultimate, I never really could have imagined high school Ultimate becoming what it has, and I just kind of played randomly with friends, pick up at the park. When I was in high school, I didn't even realize it was kind of already a thing then. And now to realize that, athletes are picking Ultimate over other sports, at high schools is really something that's pretty neat to see. And it's something that, as you can see, we certainly know with the AlleyCats, and I'm sure a lot of other teams out there in the AUDL, bringing those programs up. And we know Indiana Ultimate Foundation here in the Indy community has done an amazing job in terms of being that organization that is helping really bring all of those high school teams together in this area. And obviously it's paying off for the AlleyCats.
And I think, back to your part about the community, I think the Indianapolis Ultimate community is very special and very different from other Ultimate communities. A lot of Ultimate communities are based around this elite level club team. Instead, we're based around this elite level high school team that's growing the sport from like the youth grassroots level.
Sure,
and
yeah.
it's growing up, and they're going into the Indianapolis AlleyCats, Indianapolis Brickyard, and making an impact on the community.
Yeah, I mean, we see youth leagues, we see competitive leagues, we see kind of more pickup leagues. We have club, you have the AlleyCats now, and that's something to where it's just continuing to put Ultimate on the map.
We've got some scores back and forth here. Both O-lines really starting to roll.
Getting back to the action there, we saw again another great throw there from Cameron Brock, and Keegan North just kind of waits, sees Levi Jacobs clearing space, and is able to get the goal.
Yeah, Keegan North shows a lot of patience sitting in that lane. Waits for it to get open all the way, takes off deep, and that's going to be an easy goal on a very good throw from Cameron Brock. Spencer Loscar with the pull for the AlleyCats. Minnesota centers the disc to Josh Klein. Spencer Loscar with the D there on the AlleyCats. Spencer Loscar with the disc on the far sideline. Works the disc to Donovan Triplett. Triplett puts up, or is that Samson puts up a hammer to Keenan Plew. He's not able to come up with it. Just out of reach. Minnesota with the disc, working the disc up the field. Oh, big fake. Oh, that's a huge layout attempt by Connor Henderson, but he's not able to come up with it.
Connor Henderson, I think we've seen, is one of those where he's already convinced himself. He knows that he wants to lay out for it and is not afraid to do it.
Yeah, he has some of the biggest layouts I've seen, for sure.
Again, another one of those center growth players.
Yeah, one of a handful on this team. Josh Klein picks up his eighth assist of the game. I'm running out of space on my stat sheet for him. Josh Klein, 8 assists. Klein catches the disc, waits for a second. There's the breakaway, and he finds Cole Urich in the end zone. Josh Klein just showing off all kinds of different throws today. Real standout player for Minnesota. AlleyCats O-line coming out again. Feels like it's been a minute since we've seen the O-line. Since we've seen the real O-line. I could just be tired, though.
Well, I think they're just mixing in some players on defense, maybe trying to just give, like you said, give some different looks. And so, again, this could be just a little bit of a showcase here for Alex Henderson in terms of what he can bring on potentially the O-line.
Yeah, Alex Henderson gets open early. Finds Rick Gross down the sideline. Keegan North with the disc. Rick cuts deep, but they can't get it to him.
Showing very good patience there. He might have been able to put that up the line, but instead just takes the 100% look.
Rick Gross with a pretty throw.
You never expect those lefties. You're always just like, in the zone guarding your defender, and all of a sudden, boom, they throw a lefty, and you're like, dang, I wasn't expecting
Yeah, that lefty sneaks you. And I thought that he could have thrown the lefty as soon as he caught it to Levi here.
Mm-hmm. But he's like, no, wait.
No,
and then,
wait, and let's throw the lefty then.
Yep.
I think he's just got to try and help keep Levi off the stat sheet. Levi has 5 goals today. Can't let Levi catch him.
Yeah, somebody else got to score.
Yeah. So he finds Keegan North in the end zone.
I'm sure that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, Keegan North picks up his 2nd goal of the game. Keegan North quietly filling the stat sheet too. 2 goals, 2 assists, 3 Ds. Again, all 3 of those Ds were on the 2nd point of the game. So.
You guys are the best. We love you.
Josh Klain catches the pull for Minnesota, centers it. Minnesota works a disc to the near sideline. Josh Klain with the disc. That around throw has been lethal for Josh Klain all day. John Wanger on the mark here, guarding Michael Jordan. Josh Klain with the disc, lots of open space, looking for someone to cut. Josh Couts gets it and puts it up the line. Minnesota unable to come up with it on a layout attempt.
Yeah, that's one of those, I don't know how many times I've done that myself, where it just made a throw thinking it was just going to work out perfect, and it doesn't, and you're just kind of left thinking, I'm not really sure what I could have done differently there.
Yeah.
You just almost expect it to work out, especially if someone's kind of open like that, and it just doesn't, and you're just kind of not sure what happened.
And that looked like it was an accident. They kind of get their feet tangled up, and
Certainly.
Kip Curtis ends up tackled on the huck attempt by Michael Ames.
Yeah, one of the interesting things here again is that the players are kind of free to move, so sometimes you can almost get caught off guard with it being with the disc being brought into play, and you're just not sure when it's going to come in. But of course now with an injury, kind of gives everybody a little bit more time here to kind of set. But the hardest thing is sort of anticipating when it's going to get tapped in, because just one little movement one way or another and someone's open, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, for sure. And this is a lot different than what you would see in the USA Ultimate Club Series. If a foul like that was called,
Yeah,
play would come to a stop.
exactly.
Players would reset, and then we'd be going from a dead disc,
Yeah.
kind of like we're going to now.
And then now with the injury and everything, look, there's a little bit more of a pause, as you said. But again, even then, still pretty easy to get open
Yeah,
there.
still everyone's able to move, yeah. Connor Henderson gets open in space, working in the tight space. He receives a goal on the assist from Kip Curtis.
Seen steady improvement here from the AlleyCats, scoring 4 goals the first quarter, then 6, and then 7. And now, I think they're at 8 goals now this quarter, and so sort of steadily
Definitely
improving.
trending upwards as we go out throughout the
Yeah.
game.
Which again, I think, only bodes well for them in terms of the playoff game next weekend. But I think you're going to maybe see a different look from both teams next weekend. I don't know. That remains to be seen. But again, as we talked about, it's been a while. I think is from what we can tell, the AlleyCats have beaten the Minnesota Wind Chill. And so to really get both of those monkeys off their back, knowing that they have wins over both Minnesota and Madison this year, having 11 wins, hosting a home playoff game, getting back into the playoffs for the first time in a while, I think. It's been 2014, I think, or something like that.
Yeah.
And so really they're checking off all the boxes, but of course the AlleyCats will also be the first one to tell you that they really want to do something in the playoffs and really expect that they can compete with anybody.
Yeah, for sure. And Keenan Plu comes up with a D there. I think an important thing to note, though, for the AlleyCats, they're missing Nick Hutton.
Mm-hmm.
They're missing Peter Carlton.
Mm-hmm.
2 big-time players on their D-line.
Sure.
2 big-time contributors. So it only goes up from here.
Yeah.
So next week they'll be back at it against the same team, but, hopefully with everyone available.
Yeah, but again, both teams here even know that regardless of what happens next weekend, the ultimate test is going to become, can anyone dethrone the Madison Radicals?
Yeah. I want to give a quick shout out to Nidal Ibrahim watching from Malaysia. In Malaysia, it's early Sunday morning.
Wow.
That's
pretty
dedication.
cool. I'm not going to lie. Again, that just speaks to that ultimate community you talked about in terms of just reaching all across the world. Right now the World Championships are going on in Cincinnati.
Just an hour and a half away in Cincinnati, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the mixed. It's all of them, right?
It's all of them, yeah.
Yeah,
but
men's, women's, mixed. And so, again, just shows that Ultimate is a sport that is here to stay. It reaches all across the world, and there's all different levels from youth all the way up to World Championships. And, they give away gold medals in Ultimate too. So that's something that, it's something everyone's really proud to be a part of, I think, in terms of, this Ultimate community. There's a big play.
Donovan Triplett on the receiving end there. Big sky by Donovan Triplett. On the receiving end from Spencer Lascar. Spencer Lascar catches the disc up line. Puts it up to Donovan Triplett. Comes down with it despite the contact. We're going to go ahead and call that our play of the game. This is the BE Ultimate Better Than Ever play of the game. Now let's take a look at our BE Ultimate Better Than Ever play of the game. Spencer Lascar catches the disc up line, puts it up to Donovan Triplett. It floats a little, and he comes down with the sky through contact. That was our BE Ultimate Better Than Ever play of the game. BE Ultimate, putting a different spin on Ultimate apparel by focusing on high-performance fabrics, quality workmanship, and rapid turnaround time. They are Ultimate players making Ultimate gear for the Ultimate community. Visit their website at beultimate.com.
We saw the wind chill there. Just kind of padding the stats, get a few more touches in there. But again, this is a big win for the AlleyCats. Proven a lot of people wrong that, they're really taking a step forward. But again, everything is all about the playoffs in really any pro sport. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Especially, what have you done for me lately in the playoffs? So this is a 11-3 season for the AlleyCats. And so, it's big steps forward. A lot of people have contributed so far. We know Rick Gross is really trying to put his name out there in terms of maybe some possible MVP consideration. And so, again, it's just really good to see this for the AlleyCats, having wins now over Madison, over Minnesota, getting over 10 wins, and now hosting a playoff game. But again, it's all going to come down to next weekend. They'll be the first ones to admit they don't want to have all this success and then not win that game next weekend.
Yeah. Before we take off, Rick Gross is going to be our player of the game. Puts up 4 goals, 3 assists, and 2 Ds. Huge game all around for Rick Gross.
That's something that, again, he's done all season. A great plus-minus. Lots of goals, lots of assists. Up there in the Ds. I think he was, first in Ds. I don't know if he's still up there, but, again, establishing himself as, possibly one of the top 10 players in the league this season.
Yeah, and our AUDL season leaders list is going to be very close. Cameron Brock currently leading the AUDL in goals with 54. He gets 2 today to make it 56 total for the season. Rick Gross gets 4 today to make it 55 total for the season. Cameron Brock beats him by just 1. What a close finish. And they're both going to end in the top 3 or 4.
It'd be interesting to see how some of those other games playing out. I don't know about some of the others that are up at the top there in terms of if they have games left that they can play. So, but again, you can see that, Keenan Plew again up there in terms of completion percentage, in terms of, touches. Rick Gross getting plenty of goals, plenty of Ds, a great plus-minus. Cameron Brock scoring more and more goals. And, again, just a lot of contributors on this team. So, again, just a great end for the AlleyCats, I think. I think it all points towards a really exciting game next weekend between these two teams. And, again, just to really sum it up, great season for the AlleyCats so far.
Yeah, great season indeed. Our next broadcast will be next Saturday, July 21st, as the Minnesota Windchill come back to town in the first round of the 2018 AUDL playoffs. We have all the action right here on UniversePointProductions.com, presented by Indiana Farm Bureau Insurance. Excited for next weekend. We'll see you then.